5 months ago, I left the UK to go travelling full-time in my retirement. And I never imagined that after just 5 months, I would have to come home early because I got ill while I was away. And this is how I feel and how it felt to come back to the UK early. Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Zoe and I sold everything that I owned in the UK, my house, my car, my camper van, all my belongings, and left the UK in September 2025 with these grand plans to go and travel full time for the next 5 years minimum. And I started off in Asia, Thailand, and then I've been in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur for 3 months. And then I was due to go on to Cambodia, then Vietnam and South Korea. And unfortunately, I've had to come back to the UK. So what happened was, pretty soon after I arrived in Thailand, I was having trouble walking, and I thought it was down to an old gym injury, and that's actually what the hospital thought as well at the time, and were treating me as if I had a meniscus tear and rest. But it turned out that it was probably arthritis and I shouldn't have been resting, and it has made it worse. But by the time I got to Malaysia, all my joints just started hurting at once, in my knees and my wrists and my face. And it was just, I've never known anything like it. I've never known pain like it. It was like glass. My knees and my wrists were made of glass and someone was just crushing them. Anyway, I got diagnosed in Malaysia with an autoimmune disease. It's a type of rheumatoid arthritis, but I have a peripheral spondyloarthritis. Yeah. And I was in Malaysia seeing a specialist and started treatment with them. But unfortunately, the treatment isn't working. Well, not as fast as they'd hoped in Malaysia anyway. And it's expensive. So private healthcare in Malaysia is not expensive in comparison to private healthcare in the UK. However, having to go for treatment all the time and then looking at biologics, it was going to get very expensive and out of my price range. And although, of course, I'm insured when I'm traveling, but they don't insure you for, they won't cover your expenses for things like this, because in their view, you should come home and have the NHS treat you. So with the costs and mounting and looking like they were going to, get even higher, I managed to get an appointment back home with the NHS, and so I've come home to have that appointment and see what they say. And it's been hard. Anyway, that is why I've come home early. Now, I am very sad to come back from my travels so early. Feel a little bit like I've been defeated. But the thing is, you have these flare-ups and you don't know when they're going to happen. And I've had a few now, and yes, I'm learning to live with them. I'm doing more meditation, being more mindful to deal with the pain. But you just don't know when they're going to hit you. And even though I'm doing everything I can to help myself control the pain and learn to live with it, and so it doesn't feel so bad each time I have a flare-up, the thing is, this disease is stopping me from enjoying my travels as much as I'd like to, because some days I'm stuck in an apartment in a strange country in agony, and that's tough. That really is tough. Now, I know I've always lived on my own in the UK, so if I'm in the UK, it's the same thing. I'm stuck at home, and I feel I feel the same, like, gosh, this hurts a lot. But really, it is the costs that brought me back to see the NHS and get treatment and get better. But there is the sideline to that, is that it's very hard to travel when you have an unpredictable disease where you don't know from one day to the other whether you're going to be able to walk, whether you're going to need your crutches, whether you're going to be going somewhere and then realising you're absolutely exhausted and have to come back. I was trying to see lots of things in Malaysia, and I was just really struggling some days. Some days I felt great and I felt on top of the world and I could run a marathon. But other days I really felt drained and so lethargic and no energy at all. And it does make travelling very difficult. It takes the fun out of it, really. So when I came back through to the UK, I did a stopover in Doha, and actually I'm quite glad I did. So it's about 7.5 hour flight from Malaysia to Doha in Qatar, and then another 7.5 hours back to the UK. So it would have been quite a long day to do together. Now, I did the first one and I stayed in Doha for a few weeks, but I was kind of struggling with with getting myself there. I was on my crutches and I did get offered a lot of help. I did try and walk most of it, and I did walk in the airport, but it was quite tiring. And one of the things I learned, like when I got to Doha, I love to see everything that I can, and I couldn't do it. I was so tired, and I did a couple of trips and I tried to go out and do some exploring on my own, but I just found myself getting so tired so quickly. I did enjoy my time in Doha, but what I learned is, especially as I'm feeling now, fast travel is not for me. I can't put myself in that position where I have to see everything in just a few days. It's just not going to work for me. Now, hopefully, if we ever get this treatment right, I might feel more like myself again, that I'll be able to do a bit of fast travel. But for now, I can't do that. I have to take my time because I just don't know how I'm going to feel each morning. And I learnt that in Doha, it was too fast. It was too much. And then when I came back, it was a real struggle on the plane, and I did have to get assistance at Doha Airport to get me on the plane. Yeah. Now, what was very interesting when I got off at Birmingham Airport is that there's not very much assistance around, and it's back to paying for a trolley. So that just makes life so difficult, doesn't it? And everything's so delayed and so slow. And Birmingham's one of the better airports. Oh, and I'm just like, oh, here we go. And it's cold. This is not what I planned at all. No, I didn't want to come home. But on the positive side, I saw my son came and met me at the airport, and it was so lovely to see my son and get a big hug from him. And there was a bit of confusion with my Airbnb, and so I had to go back to my son's house for a bit. And my granddaughters were so surprised to see me, and they were so happy, and I got massive, great big hugs off them, and that was lovely. And I got to spend some time with them, and we went out for dinner, and that was really nice. And they're so chatty. Every time I see them, they just get bigger, and such characters. They're just little ladies now. They're just fantastic. So I really did enjoy that. So the confusion we had with my Airbnb, I booked a place in Stratford, and I did ask the questions, was it ground floor? But when I got the check-in details, it told me how to get the key, and it said, make your way up to the top floor. And it's one of these old Victorian buildings. I was like, there's no way I can do that at the moment. I can barely walk on my crutches today. I'm not going to get up them stairs. Thankfully, the owner had another flat in Stratford-upon-Avon that was empty, which is ground floor, so that's where I am now. That's where I am now. I like the colour and the decor, actually. You won't like it, it's too dark, but I quite like it. So I'm, getting settled in here. It's, every time I move house, it takes me a few days to get myself settled. I'm learning that now, like not to complain about things in the first few days, because I soon find a way around it. Like there wasn't enough plugs around, so I got some extensions out of my son's studio and set those up. There's no washing machine, so I gave my washing to my son. I took the clothes horse from his studio to hang things up on, and so I can do a bit of washing. I just make it work, and give me a few days and I'll be settled in here. But yeah, I haven't really been out much. I've been for little walks, but my knees have really been painful, and my wrist is very painful at the moment. And that might be the stress of coming home, and also the overdoing it with Doha, and and it's a long flight when you're feeling like this. It really is a long flight. I don't know how to do it. I really don't. I just don't. And I'm dealing with the jet lag. But this weekend, like, I had all my friends wanting to come and see me, but honestly, I just couldn't manage it this weekend. I just felt exhausted. Not just the jet lag, but I think everything just catching up. And one part of this disease is that I just feel exhausted sometimes. Yeah. But now I'm just sort of waiting now for my NHS hospital appointment, which is in a few days. And we can see what they say and how they plan to treat it. It'll be interesting what they think to how I was treated in Kuala Lumpur, and whether they'll continue with that treatment or have some other ideas. So I'd be interested to see that. I just really want to get better as soon as I can. Like I say, I have good days and I have some rotten days. But I have to keep smiling, and even when I'm having those rotten days, like, I'm getting better now. Like at this weekend, better at saying to people, I'm sorry, I'm exhausted. I just need to rest. And I'm getting better at doing that. And I need to do that. I need to give myself that rest time. But it's hard sometimes, isn't it? Because you want to see your friends. Ooh, but it really does hit you for 6 weeks. So just one of those things I've got to do. Now, I know that eventually they'll get my medication right and I'll be back on my travels. But when that will be, sooner the better. Sooner the better. This was not my plan at all. But here I am. I'm back in the UK. Still smiling through it all. Because, sorry, what I meant to say was that even when I'm having those bad days, at least now I know I'm going to come out of them. And not like in the beginning when I first had those flare-ups and I didn't really know what was happening. And I didn't think it was ever going to stop. But now at least I know it's going to pass. I just got to grit my teeth and go through it. But don't grit my teeth too much, because my teeth will fall out again. I can't lose any more teeth. Oh, anyway, I'll let you know how I get on with the doctors when I've had my appointment. But just that, I'm safely home, and I'm trying to be positive. And hopefully we'll be back on the road again, because otherwise I will have to change the title of my channel. Retired, failed, and came home. Well, I don't want that. None of us want that. I'm not failing. I'm not. I'm going to be back out there. You wait. I will be in Cambodia. I'm back in Thailand soon. Watch this space. Thanks for watching. I'll keep you all updated. And thank you all for all your support. I know this has not been the journey any of us expected. It was supposed to be all this excitement, but we'll work it out. We'll work it out. I'll catch up with you soon. Ciao.